So how is everyone? Great, and you can hear me in the back okay, right? Yes. I always have to ask that because the other day I was doing a speaking engagement, and after about 15 minutes, there was a commotion in the back. So I yelled out really loud, "Can you hear me back there?" And somebody stood up and said, "We haven't heard a word you said for the last 15 minutes. And instantly, 30 people got up from the front of the room and moved to the back. So I want to make sure that didn't happen. Well, this is going to be 3 hours. I promise you it will not get boring, I hope. And we are going to cut to the chase. I always say the future of Sault Ste. Marie starts right here, right now, today. No more studies, no more plans, no more just reports sitting on shelves gathering dust. How about if we just cut to the chase? Would that be okay with you? All right. So I have been here with my wife, Jane. Where's Jane? Where is she? There she is, way, way back there. And we have been here since Wednesday morning. And thank you for finally giving us a great day Saturday to go check all this out. So, without further ado, I'm going to dig in. And you have been secret shopped. Since Wednesday, we have been checking out the Soo, which we learned after about 5 minutes over the border. It's the Soo. And there was no interviews, no heads up. Josh, Rory from the chamber, nobody gave us anything. They just said, come here like any other visitor. And we wore different hats, and I'll show you that. Our experience is we have assessed, secret shop, more than 1,500 cities and towns around the world in 45 U.S. states, all across Canada, Western Europe, and on and on. In Canada, we spent 10 years secret shopping almost every single city and town in the province. If you ever go to Nova Scotia and want to know the best ofs, you just let me know and I'll say, here's where you got to go. Took us 10 years to do that. And we've done dozens of cities and towns in Alberta, British Columbia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan tourism. We worked all over the province, PEI, Quebec City, on and throughout Ontario. As a matter of fact, in Ontario, we did assess Owen Sound and all of Grey County. We also worked all of the Bruce Peninsula from Kincardine to Tobermory. We also did Bracebridge, worked up in the Muskokas. Matter of fact, I got to tell you, I'm on the road 250 days a year, speaking about 80 or so events a year. I've spoken at the Deerhurst Resort more than any one location anywhere. We got that one twice. Downtown Barrie, like Simcoe area, Orangeville, New Tecumseh, Kenora. So you think you're out west, go to Kenora, which people in Ontario don't even know they exist. They know their main market is Winnipeg. But Stratford, we've used as case histories, Niagara-on-the-Lake. We just did, as a matter of fact, in December, just last December, we assessed all of Wellington County. It was the middle of December and people were out mowing their lawns. Go figure. If you don't like the weather in Ontario, wait 5 minutes, right? And then, of course, I've spoken at numerous conferences. So we got a pretty good view of the province. We have never been to the Soo before. We've worked a lot in Michigan, but had never been over the border. So we looked at your marketing. We looked at, was it good to find information? Was it easy? Was it good enough to close the sale? How did you stand up to the competition? And you got a lot of competition. Was it convenient to get information? But the main thing I'm going to concentrate on today is what we saw here. And that is what we call our on-site assessment. We looked at your signage, your gateways, your wayfinding. What was the overall appeal? What did we think? And then critical mass, explain that. Amenities, parking, all of that stuff. And what was there to see and do? And it keeps going. But the big deal is we didn't just come as leisure visitors. We looked at this, is this a place I would want to live? Is this a place we'd want to raise a family or retire to? And is this a place I would want to invest in or work in? or bring a business here too. And then, what do you have that makes you worth more than a day trip? And this is what you're going to see. And by the way, this is no holds barred. There may be things you see that you're already working on. Remember, we didn't go through a whole bunch of plans and studies. We're here as a first-time visitor. And so it all started, we wanted to get to know you. Now, I should play that song, Getting to Know You. You don't want me to sing it. But we started by the other Sault. So we thought, well, we better go check out Sault Ste. Marie in Michigan, see what that side's like. So we did drive through the downtown. And when we got to the park close to their locks, this seemed to be their core district. This place was hopping. And this is something we did not see over the river, because you do not monetize your waterfront. It's gorgeous, but there's no way to spend any money. Okay? Or very few. And then while we were there, we did see their farmers market on Wednesday morning. And good news is, no competition. It's better over here. And then we also went in to their visitor center, and we asked them, you know, we're heading across the river. Do you have any information on the other Sault? And they says, no, we're just promoting this Sault, but their visitor information is right across the river. The first suggestion would be, I would cross-sell each other. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great that they said, oh, their visitor information is right across the river, but it would be good if they said, well, we do have their guide and we have a couple of pieces. And likewise, maybe the same thing over here. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of these little numbers with circles in them. You want to know how many there are for Sault Ste. Marie? 99. 99, but they'll go fast. That's the first thing. And by the way, these are suggestions. You will see no recommendations here, because it would be not really appropriate to have us come in and tell you what you should do when we never talk to you first, right? But you could take some of these suggestions and say, we're going to do that one. So there's the first one. I would create a marketing partnership. Now, here's the deal. When you come over the border, we have 4 seconds to read signs. How many of you could read that list of attractions? Raise your hands. Everybody, raise it. See what I mean? None of you. When we come over, we see, first thing we see is, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 4 seconds. And by the way, we got to turn. And then we've got this here, speed is in kilometers. Then we know the airport's somewhere. We know this is how you get to 17. Then we know all these directions. And we're supposed to decipher all of this. Oh, plus now we know where the hospital is. Plus we know that trucks are allowed. And I have no idea what that one's for. We have 4 seconds. So we come over the border, and thank goodness there was a visitor information center. So the first thing we did is pop in there. And so we did. I don't know what's covered up there. I am very curious to see what's under this plastic banner, but I'm not too sure. So anyway, we did go there. And by the way, every visitor information center should have outdoor displays. Visitors don't just travel during visitor information center hours. Everywhere outside, there should be mounted where we could get a Sault Ste. Marie. So if we're coming here when it's not open, can we still get information to help us spend time and money here? You know, this is the one in the Bruce Peninsula. I mean, all it is like a little $10, okay, $20 Canadian. Just kidding. Little real estate brochure holder with a flap on it. It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, this is Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. On each side of the door, they always have visitor information working. This one here is in North Platte, Nebraska, that little thing you see over there. What I love about this, you could put your Sault Ste. Marie guide, a best of Sault Ste. Marie brochure, we're going to get to that, and then maybe an Ontario provincial guide. They did that for like $300. It's made out of aluminum, and it's a great way to do this. So that's a suggestion. Once we went inside, it was awesome. I don't know all the employees' names, but he helped us. There's Jane there getting some assistance. And he was awesome. Did a really, really great job telling us where we could eat. Sometimes when you ask people, where's a good place to eat, they will just say, well, here's a list. Really, we want you to be helpful, and he was. We said, what should we see? What should we do? And so the people there were great. They did a good job. And we love little things like this little Instagram. You know, it's got the hashtag Discover Ontario there. But you want another one? We would like you to do we want you to add another one. Instagram should be your site. And I think Sue Fun, you know, some people say it's so fun. Sue Fun, do a hashtag. And by the way, we went ahead and redesigned it. It goes right down there. If you add that, then you get the best of both Ontario and Sault Ste. Marie, whatever hashtag you come up with. I don't know. We did see one for Sault Ste. Marie, but it didn't really sell us on coming here. So whatever you do, create a hashtag and add it there if they'll let you. Now, let me give Rory, where's Rory at from the chamber? There he is back there. Rory said, you know, by the way, when we were planning our trip, remember, nobody gives us any advice. We were going to stay at the Quattro because it was like number one on TripAdvisor. Then we thought, well, we're going to stay at the Marriott Spring Hill Suites. What we found out, these were way kind of north. We wanted to be in the heart of downtown. And so a couple people said, well, hey, you know what? You ought to stay at the Days Inn. Well, here's the thing, is people go to TripAdvisor. I know a lot of people that work at TripAdvisor, and you know what? It's the most visited website on the planet. And I looked at the Days Inn, I read a few of the reviews, and we just said, you know, yeah, not sure we're going to do Days Inn, particularly because I travel 250 days a year. You know, we want a little more comfort, and Days Inn was quite a ways down the list. And so we did look at the reviews, but you know what people do? When they go to TripAdvisor, they read the worst ones. The good news is the general manager at Days Inn did respond, was very apologetic, but when we see, you know, it's noise or whatever, we decided to stay at the Delta. Couple reasons why. Is number one, I came from the concert industry. I did tour management for groups like Fleetwood Mac, Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago. You know, the big one that really dates me is the Saturday Night Fever tour for the Bee Gees. Yeah. But when I did that, I was friends with a guy from 1960s rock and roll, Paul Revere and the Raiders. How many of you ever heard of Paul Revere and the Raiders? You just dated yourselves, you fell for it. And we called him Uncle Paul. We lost him a couple years ago. Uncle Paul, I was talking to him, and he said, Roger, you're never going to change the world working in the concert industry. I know these guys in Canada doing this resort. Go help them. It was Whistler. I had no idea about downtowns, tourism. I remember I worked in the music industry. And they said, well, we need somebody to recruit investment into Whistler. And Vancouver did not believe in Whistler. They called the Sea to Sky Highway the Sea to Die Highway. Yeah. And so they said, the very first thing we need, Roger, is a hotel at the base of Whistler Mountain. And so I said, okay, we created a list, and I called, and the base of Whistler Mountain then was literally a garbage dump. But the hotel I called, the very first business I ever recruited in this industry was a Delta Hotel, and it's still there. So I kind of felt a little allegiance to stay in Delta. And by the way, look at the views. I mean, it was amazing. And this is the view from our room. And with this picture, I've already redesigned your waterfront. You're going to see it coming up. So get ready. Once we got to our hotel room, we did look at the visitor guide. Gorgeous photo on the cover of it. And the other tool we used was this map, and I'm holding it right here in my hands right here. This is the map we used to find our way around. And so, and I'm going to talk about this, but those were the two pieces we used. But one thing again, would you stop it with these little teeny icons? Really? I mean, I can't even with, this is me trying to read those stupid things. So Wednesday, we got all settled in. By the way, Wednesday, we walked up and down Queen Street. On Thursday, we decided to go out and scout the whole area. So we're driving around, trying to use this map. We did find the Strathclair sports area, which we thought was awesome. It was beautiful. And the weather wasn't beautiful. We saw Sinclair Yard. So by the way, every year, do you change that? So next year will be 26 years, 2019. But anyway, that was really cool. I just thought it's a really nice sports place. While we're driving around, we saw St. Mary's College. It looked awesome as well. We did go out and see the airport. You got to understand, for a first-time visitor, I felt like I was halfway to Thunder Bay. It's really not that far, but first-time visitor, everything seems so much more. You kept driving and driving and driving. We finally found it. It's a great little airport. It was pretty fogged in when we were there. We even saw that you do flight training, and I thought, you know what? There are people that would come over. I started to take my private pilot's license. And I thought, boy, wouldn't it be cool if people would come up here and do all their solos and all of those things. And so this could actually be a tourist attraction if it's open to the public to come in and do flight instruction and training. So we just thought that's a great opportunity. Once you leave the airport, there's a great sign that says, "Welcome to Sault Ste. Marie." And by the way, outline text is a little bit hard to read. Now we could make this out because there's not a lot of text into it. But what's interesting is when you come out to the airport, you come up to an intersection and it says welcome, but there's no arrows on which way to go. What we get is this. Where is it? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I want to do this one. What we get is this, and it says good luck. I mean, really? And so with that, I'd much rather put an arrow on that sign. Now, naturally gifted, I have no idea what that means. So, but once again, it's a nice. We did check out the factory or the mill. Do you call it the mill? Well, this is the machine shop. Okay. So we did see Esser. Everybody calls it Algoma Steel. Is that what you just refer to Algoma, even though it's Esser now? You use that? You use it? Okay. Gotcha. We did see, is it Tenaris? Is that how you pronounce that? So we saw all of that. And I got to tell you, one thing scared the bejesus out of me. While we were here, we read the news about tariffs. And I wish the U.S., I don't know what happens, is back when Obama was the president, he said, we got to rid our dependence on foreign oil. We were working in Alberta at the time, which is where 70% of the oil coming to the U.S. comes from Alberta, not the Middle East. So when they start talking about assessing steel products at 25%, it just scares me because I wish, when you talk about the NAFTA, North American Free Trade, that includes Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. I understand the whole Mexico thing, but Jesus shouldn't consider Canada. But the point is, you have to diversify. What we saw was a one-horse town. I'm going, oh my gosh, this place needs to diversify. And so, we did see that. It was going strong, and hopefully it will keep going strong. We also saw across the street the Manzo pool. We never could figure out how to get to the pool. We drove around in neighborhoods. I don't know where there's a gateway, an entrance. And by the way, it looks like they're emptying the pool. I always thought this time of year you filled it. So we did see that. We also saw some interesting places like this. And even in places like this, the first thing we see is a blown out sign, a lot of unused signs. And you know what? Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting. I know some guy's going to pipe up pretty soon. Yeah, some guy's going to say, that's all? But here's the point. Is Jane said, I don't want to get out of the car. Okay? Now, those are the kinds of things. First impressions are lasting impressions. So when we see a place like this, now maybe they're just not really open for the season. We see lots of plastic banners. I see lots of canoes, but we could not find a lake anywhere near this place. Maybe there is one. I'm not sure if they rent the canoes or sell them. But little things like you have so many plastic banners everywhere, you just felt assaulted. And so it's just not really, I kept going paint, paint, paint. And the other two words, Roundup. Weeds. The weeds are, really tall. And so, it might be it's listed as one of your attractions, and we're going, whoa. You have to understand, people judge the book by the cover. And by the way, look at this stat. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. 70%. We all travel. Have you ever said these exact words? That looks like a nice place to eat. That is the problem. So they put up all those tall banners. The problem is we know you exist. You're just not doing what it takes to get us to want to get out of our car. And that's a big challenge. Now, the ice cream parlor back in the back looked awesome. I have no idea when it's going to be open. This is June. And so it doesn't say long weekend in May to Labor Day. It doesn't say, it just says closed. So when you don't tell us when you're going to be open, we don't know whether it's just weekends, whether it's just July and August. And we're not invited to come back. Saw the fresh fudge. It looked great. While we're out there, we saw Crimson Ridge. Beautiful golf course. There must have been a tournament or something going on, but I have to tell you that the problem is we use this map. According to this map, I would say that golf course is right next to 17. And of course, it says it's not to scale. But you know what? If it's not, it's like 5 or 6 clicks down the road. Most people would have given up. So if you're not going to do a 2-scale map, tell us how far it is so we know. And that was the problem because it wasn't really close to 17 at all. As a matter of fact, by the time we got to 5th line, we felt like we're heading into one of the territories. And so that's really important. But it's a beautiful golf course. We were just pretty amazed by it. And we just thought, wow, this is pretty cool. So that takes me to a side trip. One thing we want you to do is create a brochure that promotes your anchor tenants. And by the way, anchor tenants are not businesses that drag you down. They're the businesses that make you worth a special trip. And so the one thing I would like you to do is one of the things I'd like you to do is create a brochure that's the very best of Sault Ste. Marie. Your top eateries, activities, shops, and attractions, no lodging. Because the number one asked question of at hotel front desk is, where's a good place to eat? Please don't hand me a list. And hotels, and wouldn't it be cool if they said, well, you know what? Here's a brochure, the very best of Sault Ste. Marie. It has our best restaurants in it. That's what we want you to do. This is Alpena, Michigan, which we worked in. And some of you may know Alpena. We made it the sanctuary of the Great Lakes, whereas Traverse City, is party town. So across the state. So Alpena, we told them to do this. As a matter of fact, to help them cut through the politics, I'm actually going to name who should be in this for you. For most of them. But in this case, they actually used a quote by me. And what you do is they did this. So they promoted their great little shops. And I'm going to show you the criteria in just a second. So they created this brochure promoting the very best of what Alpena has to offer. And by the way, each one of these was vetted. And each one of them paid $400 to be in this. So this is a public-private, it wasn't who wants to buy an ad, it's we would like you to be in here. And by the way, the Besser Museum didn't have $400. They were really struggling. Well, there was enough from all the businesses to help cover their costs. I think they paid $200. But what they did is they promoted their best restaurants, retail shops. And by the way, you know what they did with this? They printed 30,000 of them. Matter of fact, I picked up this brochure right across the river. Now, what they did is they printed 30,000, and they have 10,000 houses in their county. Only 30,000 people in their county, about 10,000 households. You know what they did with this? They mailed this, snail mailed it to every single house in Alpena with a little card. And here's what the card said, and I'm paraphrasing. The number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We hope that when friends and family visit you, you will share with them the very best of what Alpena has to offer, because we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people would come downtown and they would look at this and they'd go, oh my gosh, I got this in the mail. How long have you been here? And the merchant would go, 10 years. And you know what happened is, all of a sudden, their hotels were handing this out. Everybody was doing this because success breeds success. Now, there were businesses that said, well, you picked them and you didn't pick me, and I think I'm just as good as them. That would never happen here in the Sioux, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. But what they did is afterwards, the people that complained said, that was the best $400 I didn't spend, because I didn't realize when they went into my neighbor that is in here, they also came into my shop. You need to promote your anchor tenants. By the way, you can create criteria. So in their case, the criteria is they need to have good curb appeal. They needed to be open year round. And they had to be open until at least 7 o'clock p.m. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. And they had to be open 6 days a week. So they could be closed on Monday. You could create your own. And they had to be unique to the area, so no chains, no franchises. We want things that are unique to the Sioux. And they had to be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. Like 80% positive reviews on TripAdvisor and on and on. So for Sault Ste. Marie, I want you to promote your very top 6 restaurants, your top retail shops, galleries, and maybe your top activities and attractions. So you might have 10, 16, 22. You might end up with like 24 panels in this little brochure. This is the most helpful thing you could do. And by the way, the Downtown Association, Chamber of Commerce, they all have access to these videos that will tell you how to produce this piece. Now, then what you can do is say, well, if you like those restaurants, we've got 3 more for you. If you like this golf course, we've got 3 more for you. If you like this trail, we've got other trails. So once they're here, you can say, if you like these, we've got more. This is just to promote your anchor tenants, because success breeds success, and we put Crimson Ridge Golf Club on that list. So we're driving around. While we're there, by the way, we saw the Loop Trail. Now, we don't know if this is an ATV trail, whether there's a biking or hiking trail, but there was really, really good information on the sign. We did not have time to hike it. Maybe it's a best of. I don't know. I don't know what the views are. If it is, then we need to add it. So in our case, we didn't get a chance to go out there and check it out, but it looked pretty awesome. We also saw Root River. We went saw that golf course. Once again, the front door says closed. We thought the golf course was closed. That's just the restaurant. But there isn't a sign that says the pro shop is around the side. So when you just see closed, we don't know whether it's seasonal. And then when I walked around the back, I could see obviously there is a restaurant there. And then I could see the pro shop over on the right. And by the way, for everybody that has retail, never put more than 4 posters in your windows. Posters and signs. So in this case, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus there's one on the other side and another one on the other side. What happens is, this for all retailers and everything, there's studies that show this. Once you get past 4, people ignore them all. So it looked like a nice golf course. We also found Kinsman Park in, is it Hiawatha Highlands? Which I don't know, Hiawatha Highlands, is it separate from this? Or is it in here? I'm trying to figure out. All we saw was this sign. Is there another one somewhere for Hiawatha Highlands?
It's part of it.
It is part of that. Why do they have two different names?
It's just part of the region.
Oh, it's part of the region that Kinsman Park is in? Okay, just so you know, for a visitor, that's confusing. Is it Kinsman Park or Hiawatha Islands? And if it's Hiawatha Islands, where's that? So just so you know, we were a little bit confused. But it's a beautiful, beautiful park. We did bottom out our car going down there because there's some mud hole, there's some ponds in the road. You know what I'm talking about if you've been down there lately. But that's okay, it's a rental car. So beautiful, beautiful area, and absolutely. By the way, when you promote your best ofs, always promote activities, not places. And what we read is the cross-country skiing here is absolutely phenomenal. Now, if it also has some of the best hiking trails, fine, but always promote the activity. We wanted to add them to that list. We thought it was worthy. While we were out there, we found our next house. Any place with a 4-car garage is my deal. And then also we found neighboring house. I mean, we just went, whoa, pretty nice. Now, I want you to know something about these pictures, because this applies to downtown. And by the way, I'm saving the best for last, which is downtown. Notice at this house, it's already a beautiful house, but we put a pot here. There's another pot right behind this tree. They have beautiful landscaping area. Why do you think they do that? You know, why do you think people put chairs on their front porches? They may never sit on chairs. It makes them feel welcoming. The same rules of curb appeal that apply to residences apply to downtown, and about 90% of your business downtown don't get it. I'm going to come to that. So we're driving around. We saw those beautiful there. We also saw a beautiful, beautiful new hospital, or what looks new. So we saw that. We just went, wow. And then we also saw Silver Creek Golf Course. And then we saw in the map, it said this is the way to Fort Joseph National Historic Site. Really? You want to send us 90 kilometers away? So the point is, on the map, it does show distances. And even on the highway signs, it doesn't show distances. By the way, we did not go very far before we said, forget it, we have no idea how far this is. And I'm glad we did. I would love to go there someday. But one thing you have to understand is day trips should be within a 45-minute drive. Anything outside of 45 minutes, we're just going to stay there on that island or in Sudbury or somewhere. And so day trips should always be within, if you want people to spend the night here, 45 minutes. Send us 45 minutes. Don't go beyond that. Okay? And I know you're along the Trans-Canada Highway, but we want you to be the hub, because overnight visitors spend a whole lot more than day visitors. And so I would do that. We're driving around, and all of a sudden we see a tiny little sign on a telephone pole for a university. We didn't even know you had a university. And so we did find Algoma University. Beautiful, beautiful campus. I mean, we're just like blown away. You know, and on the campus grounds, there was this beautiful little church. And by the way, I don't know whether it's open to the public. I don't know when it would be open, but it's beautiful. Maybe it's a best of. It was one of the most charming buildings we saw. But once again, we don't know. And there's no signs. And then, by the way, we noticed this sign. It says there's a Great West Amphitheater. Do they host public events on this amphitheater? They don't? Okay, I see a few people shaking their heads no. How many of you have no clue? Yeah, okay, most of you. That's what I thought. But that's a problem if you don't know. You know, but I thought, man, they might have something here. But if not, if there's nothing for the public, then fine. We're driving around. We also found Iron Club. I don't know if that's the name of this golf course or if that's just the restaurant. Are they associated? One's across the street from each other? They are associated? That's the restaurant for the golf course. What's the name of the golf course? Sioux Country Club, we couldn't find any signs anywhere that said that. So these are little things. By the way, one thing I didn't point out, with almost all these golf courses, there's nothing there that says 9 holes or 18 or whether there's cart rentals or club rentals or open to the public or anything. No information. You do a lousy job trying to get people to spend more time and money here. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, it's not that expensive to put up a sign that just says, we're open for public play, long weekend of May through Labor Day, or whatever your season is. Or even if you say we have cross-country skiing, and do you have club rentals, all of those things, but there's nothing. You just have stuff, it's just there. We're out there, we also found Bellevue Park, which looked absolutely terrific. Now, by the way, we took these pictures on Thursday, which it was raining, so they don't look as good as we would have liked. But it looked like a fabulous, fabulous park. And it looks like there's trails through there. And by the way, is this trail part of the hub trail, or is this totally different? It's different. But once again, there's no trail signs, no trail markers, no information. But I could see there's a trail. There's a guy there. You can see the guy walking down the trail right now. And so we also saw the community center, which is great. And by the way, I would add Bellevue Park. I mean, I think it's is it one of your signature parks as a city? It looked fabulous. So we added that. Now, I'm gonna take a little side trip here. I'm gonna tell you something that affects Sault Ste. Marie and diversification. For the first time in the US and Canada, jobs are going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. That means the jobs will come here. That doesn't mean you have to go to Toronto to get a job. So if you create a desirable place millennials, Gen Xers want to live, the jobs will find you. I mean, that's been in the Wall Street Journal. It's been everywhere. This is Urban Landscape. For the first time in history, instead of people moving where jobs are moving where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. So if you can make Sault Ste. Marie that awesome of a city, I'm guaranteeing you, you will diversify your income. You will diversify into other industries, technology, you name it. So that means if you become a desirable place to live, for the first time in Canadian history, community development is leading tourism and economic development. So this is the age of placemaking. And that's why I'm ending with downtown. The second thing I want to tell you about is that marketing will bring people to the Sioux once. That's it. The only thing that ever brings them back is your product. What's the primary reason I should come here? What else do you have while I'm here? What are your amenities, supporting amenities, restaurants, retail, entertainment, and the people they interact with? So here's the problem. How would I know if we had not been doing an assessment? I would have guessed you had an airport, but I would have never known it was an international airport. We would have never found the Strathclyde Sports Complex. We would have never found St. Mary's College or the pool. We would have never seen all these golf courses. We would not have seen Kinsman Park. We would not have seen the university or Bellevue Park or the Rhodes Community Center or, a beautiful new. We would not have seen any of that. As a matter of fact, this is because you have zero wayfinding to anything. As a matter of fact, had we not done that, we would have said, it's so sad to see that their hospital went out of business. Really? That's what we would have thought. By the way, we saw the hospital by accident when we were out at Algoma University looking through a neighborhood. We see this big building. And so we went over to 17 and went up and tried to work our way back in there, and that's when we saw it. I mean, that's what we thought. So, your number one priority as a city should be wayfinding signage. Because this did not help. This was very, very frustrating. It's the only thing we had, But because it's not to scale, and rightfully so, it was just really, really difficult. And so that was our challenge. I mean, we see, it looks like all of these things are really close to downtown. So we're on 17, we're coming in, we see nice gateway signs once again. And by the way, I feel like Ross Romano should be my best friend because he's way outdone Michelle for election signs. And so when you come into town, here we are at this intersection, and I want to know, first of all, we see the signs entering right here. Then we see these signs. Remember that 4 seconds again. Then we see 17. And then we see, I got another one. Oh, then we see the railroad crossing or whatever it is there. Then there's another sign back there. And then we've got Ross's sign. Oh, and we don't know whether we should go straight or we should go left, right? So we're coming here. This is all in a few seconds as we're coming in. And then on top of that, we're somehow supposed to decipher all of those. Now, can you see all those? Can you make out any one of them? Okay, here, let me zoom in. How about now? Can you make out what those are? Now, I'm out of the car with a telephoto lens. Can you read them? Okay, how about now? Can you still read them? See what I mean? You got to change that. Stop with those things. You put the logo there that you can't see it. You know what would work better there? You know what would work? You want to get people to spend more time and more money in town? Get rid of that and just do that. Is that really that difficult to do? No. Now, we didn't list everything there, but we put multiple museums there because most of them are that way. I mean, that is just not that difficult to do. So I know, yeah, you're saying, well, can you go talk to the Department of Transportation, Ministry of Highways? Yeah, show them this. And so it's that important. I mean, even when you go into downtown, you can't make those out. Can you make that out? And by the way, it looks like we lost one of your attractions. You know, and so you just can't make these out. I mean, here we've got a couple of them here. These are great if, by the way, we never found any brewery museum. Does one exist? Where is, we looked at the Bush Plane Museum. Somebody said it's somewhere near them, never found it. Here's the other problem. You have these signs, they say, it's that way, good luck. That doesn't work very well. So we never did find that. We don't even know if it exists. You know, and then if you're going down, I think this is, what's the next street? No, north, you got Bay, you've got Bay, Queen, Arthur, Albert. On Albert Street, number one, we've got that sign there, Art Gallery. And by the way, you can see here that it says no stopping, but I had to stop in order to read all the signs. And so then you've got them there. We've got more. You've got that one there. Then we've got them on this pole. We've got them on this pole. And then we've got them on 3 previous poles. And so it's just, I mean, in this case, we've got, okay, we know the road goes straight next to a railway, and it looks like there's a cross street. And then we can go straight or turn right. And then we've got these, but we don't know whether to just go straight or turn right. And then we've got, we also have no parking here. We also have a bus stop. So basically, we couldn't find the bus stop either. And you wonder why people are not spending that much time or money here. They're frustrated before they get 2 blocks over the border. And by the way, I figured, well, maybe we need to find the bus stop so we can take a bus and maybe they'll help us find stuff. You know, and even things like this, downtown shopping area. Why do you have this turn in the middle of Queen Street rather than down at Pym Street? Because it's one way the other way. And then, by the way, does that make you really want to go downtown? It's the itty centers down there. You know, these are first impressions. And then we never found anything called Heritage Square. I don't know what it is, where it is. It's just kind of there. So there's no reference to it. And if we go back to the university, signs are too small. And by the way, the tour train, we were here for 4 days before we found it. Because if you're going down, what is the waterfront? The waterfront drive, there's a row of trees off to the left. And by the way, can you read that sign? And here it is. Somebody finally said, it's by Walmart. It's like, okay, we'll drive around. And by the way, it's not the only Walmart in town. And then so we found it. And by the way, the entrance is on the inside, which I thought maybe it should be on the outside. And then now we could see the sign. But the only way we see the sign is when we're already in the parking lot. Because even if you put tour train this way, there's no signs telling you where to turn. Because what happens is highways send you in the general direction and the city does not finish the job. And so that is the challenge. So it looks fantastic. And by the way, it doesn't operate yet. I don't know why it doesn't operate yet, but maybe there's still snow up there or whatever, but from everything we read, it sounded like it's fabulous. And by the way, that's a full day, and so we wanted to add it. I don't know how many times we did this. We came up, now this is coming up from the River Drive, St. Mary, is it St. Mary's River Drive, is that right? Coming up to this intersection, and okay, we gotta go kind of to the right because you can't go left, you can't go that left, you have to go over to this left. Then we go up to the next intersection, we turn left, we think we're coming down to the locks, and then the next thing we know, we're not. So, because you have to keep going up Queen Street, and there's no signs that tell you where to turn to even get here. No signage. Once you are here, these are fantastic. I love these. They're more pedestrian oriented right here. And by the way, these signs are fantastic. The way you have signed your boardwalk and the hub trail is absolutely the best we've seen anywhere. It's awesome. And so that was really helpful, and very, very much appreciated. Because of those signs, as a visitor, we would have stayed longer and spent more money. It's too bad you're not doing that for people in their cars. So, wayfinding should be your top priority. Number one, it includes amenity signs. Here's visitor information, washrooms, parking, medical, police, all of those things. It also includes attractions and activities. It would also include boat launches, public access points to the river, trail markers and access points, which you've already done very well. Visitor information kiosks. It includes all this pedestrian wayfinding downtown would be part of that. Maybe pole banners, identifying districts. And wayfinding signs, never more than 5 items on a sign. And so here's 4 in Modesto, California, but some of them are 2 lines. This is wayfinding. This is in Appleton, Wisconsin, a sign on the left, a little hard to see it here. There it is, that sign right there. That sign there was like $700. It's got aqueous coating so ice and graffiti won't stick on it, stainless steel hardware so it won't rust. And you know what? They put up 18 of those and their retail sales services went up by nearly 20% just by helping us. It plays a role in your branding efforts. What is it you're known for? It's a major component in your marketing. It reinforces a positive rather than a frustrating experience, increases spending, educates visitors and locals about what you got and where it's located. And it builds community pride, and it's as much a science as art. This is not something the city public works department does. We worked in Pincher Creek in Alberta where the city said, we have a sign shop. They developed a whole wayfinding system and they had to take it all out. Because number one, it didn't fit federal highway standards. Number two, the letters were too small. On and on and on. But that is the importance of wayfinding. There it is. Wayfinding will increase sales surge between 14 and 28%. It is not an expense, it's an investment. And by the way, navigation systems are not a substitute for wayfinding. I can already hear that argument. We use navigations to find things we already know exist, how to get to them. Wayfinding shows us stuff we didn't even know you had. And so it is not a substitute. So there's even a video on just how to do that. Now, yeah, I'm not done with signage yet. That was wayfinding, but there's nothing like seeing a sign like this says Station Mall, for tenants and their clients only. Really? Is parking a real problem down here at Sears? Really? I mean, so we get that one. Okay, then we get this, paid parking enforced. Really? Do you have to just yeah, you better get it because we're enforcing it. We understand that 2-hour limit. Why don't you just get rid of that? We get it. We get it. It's a 2-hour limit. You can purchase your ticket here and make the P bigger. Really? Even here, we've got employee parking, employee parking, employee parking. Even this morning, we're pulling out here going, where can we park? And so we finally found, I said, okay, there's no sign here. Maybe we can park here. It's just, I feel so sorry for the Embers. We're assaulted with private parking Ontario Works employees only. And by the way, bylaw number 400J1. Really? You have to quote the bylaw? Look at this poor place. We ate lunch there. And what we get is, we get this sign, we get a no parking sign here. This poor restaurant, we almost did not eat there because there's no place to park for this restaurant. I always thought that businesses or organizations like Ontario Works were about jobs, but apparently it's not. What we're trying to do is eliminate those jobs at the Embers. Really? Their signs are so big and so brash that they almost just blow out the Embers sign. This is right next to the restaurant. Apparently we can't park there because right back here, it's private parking. And I just go, what? And by the way, this is a fantastic restaurant. One of the best restaurants here. And I just feel so bad for them, and they're on our best of list, absolutely. And I love this sign because you're pretty much my most favorite of all time in the history of ever. It's just a great restaurant. And I just feel bad for them that for visitors, we have no clue where we can park. And we're afraid to park anywhere because they're going to tow our cars because the ordinance says we can, or the bylaw. And so, and by the way, they do this. Everyone locally should have signs like that. They're free from TripAdvisor. I even thought, well, you know what? There is a post right there. Could we put a sign that says Embers parking there on the inside of this guardrail? We went inside and said, we parked on the inside of the guardrail. Are we okay? A guest should never have to ask that. Really, they've got seating for what, 40 people? And when we were there, I didn't see that you would need 40 cars. You might have 10 or 15. Is it really that much of an imposition to Ontario Works if there are 10 cars taking up your parking space? They're not parking there all day long, I don't think. Anyway, to us, it just seemed like, wow, this downtown does not want us around. Permit required, unauthorized, maybe ticketed and or towed at the owner's expense, bylaw 4001. Really? This is how you treat your guests. Here it is, parking left, free parking, 2-hour max. Really? Can't you just say free 2-hour parking? We get it, man. And then downtown, these premises are monitored by a real-time online camera system for everyone's safety. We have zero tolerance for crime. Police may be called. And then we hope you enjoy your stay. No, I'm already out of here. And if you miss that one, about 2 meters away, there's another one. I mean, really? Our first impression is this downtown is so unsafe that we should not be spending any time here. You know, I mean, look at this. We are not Elections Ontario. How about say, really? I mean, are you that pissed? Why do you say Elections Canada has moved to, or Elections Ontario has moved to? It was just like ridiculous. Then we figured it out. We figured it out. This sign. Friendliest city. But we figured it out. On the water side of that sign, they're friendly. On this side of the sign, all bets are off. By the way, the people we met and talked to in the city were among the friendliest, nicest people we have ever seen in 35 years of doing this. We were taking a picture of the Esser Center, and a girl came up and knocked on the car. We're doing it out the car window. A girl came up. She was parked there. She goes, "Hi, I noticed you're taking pictures of the Esser Center. You know, there's some other really cool things you can take pictures of here." I mean, she was really helpful. Have you been to Kinsman Park? Have you been? I mean, this is just out of the blue. We were at the Mill Market Saturday, and a guy came up with this really cute little cockapoo, I think. And we talked to him for half an hour. I mean, people were just friendly and outgoing, but you know, I just assumed it must be everything on that side of the sign, not this side. You know, I mean, you know, but then even this just reinforces how unsafe it is. We put bars in all the windows. You know, I mean, and by the way, there's Christmas lights in there. It is June. Maybe they're just a little early. But it's just like, really, you're perpetuating a brand that I don't think is really here. You know, and even this, out of order, rather than say, you know what, temporarily out of order, the next meter is 1 block down, it's just out of order, good luck. Everything's kind of in your face. Even here, entrance closed. You know, rather than say entrance closed, why don't you do please use front entrance with a sign? This is the Music Conservatory right next door with just an arrow. Please use front entrance, arrow. You know, it's just not that difficult. But everywhere we went, you know, Algoma Central Railway, no thoroughfare. Well, duh, it's kind of obvious. I mean, you know, and down at the locks. I mean, these restrooms are, what's it say? They're open 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. They're closed on weekends. When do you think most people are down there? Weekends. So we've got, oh, by the way, if you didn't get it, we're closed at 5. By the way, if you didn't get it, we're closed at 5. Oh, by the way, we're closed at 5. And by the way, we don't even bother to give you information about what they're seeing and do in the town. You know, even out here, it says no littering. Well, why don't you just put a trash can in there? So, you know, I mean, here we go. This is the different bylaw. This is 80-128. Just want to make sure you all knew that. But really, is this really, I mean, do you need to note the bylaw with everything? You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, or how about access restricted to registered boaters and marina staff only? I don't think you need to put the word only there. We get it. You know, I mean, or this one here. Okay, we have restricted access, no fishing, no bicycle, no swimming, electric shock, drowning. I mean, it's like, holy crap, it is on the waterfront too. You know, it's just, look at this one. Oh, pursuant, here's where it's like reading the Riot Act. Pursuant to the new regulations under Canadian Marine Security Transportation, access beyond this point is restricted to, you say prohibited, to authorized personnel only. Really, do you need, I mean, it's like, okay, arrest me now. Sorry, I'm looking at the sign. And it's just, you could be that. I don't know why you do this. You know, 24-hour vidder sailings, no fishing. We get extreme danger, keep away, barbed wire, chain link fences. I feel like we're in Gestapo Germany. Here we get, private property, no trespassing. No parking, 24-hour surveillance. Oh, yeah, right, private property. Oh, yeah, no parking. Oh, yeah, private property. And by the way, welcome. So now, could never, ever find what or where the brewery block is. I don't know what this is. It says brewery block. The sign looks like it was put up in 1974. And on the back has Riverside, all of these things. But I don't know whether they all have breweries now. Tulloch Engineering is now a brew house. I don't know what that is. And by the way, is this the brewery block? I didn't see a whole lot of breweries. By the way, I am going to send that to our friends in Sioux Falls, Iowa. Says Sioux Falls. But I'm going, this is the brewery block? And this one here cracks me up. Civic Center parking, visitors and staff only. Who else does that leave? Doesn't that encompass everybody? Really? Or, by the way, that's visitors and staff. But across the street, it's employees only. So I guess employees park over there, staff gets to park over there. It's like, really? And so, and by the way, there's 153 parking spots here, and during the week, only half of them were used. And so I'm going, wow, that's 153 spots right there, let alone the other ones there. Now, out at Kinston Park, this is a good sign. Because it says, please obey the rules of this park for the safety and fun of others. It starts off in a nice manner. Then it does, do not litter, park in designated areas. And it says, we are not responsible for loss or damage to belongings. That's fine. But then it says, enjoy, I think it's a Kinsman Club of Sault Ste. Marie. I thought that was a nice sign. It's totally fine. The best sign is this one at the Delta outside on patio. Please enjoy our smoke-free patio. You know what? Rather than say, no smoking, bylaw number such and such, or we will prosecute you. That's nice. You guys should be in the hospitality industry. If you want people to live here, move here. And so when you do your wayfinding, you need to understand, if you want people to live here, invest in the community, or visit you, you must be inviting, not threatening, and presenting the community as unsafe. Bottom line. And there's that statistic. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. And I'm not done yet. And I'm waiting for the guys to say, not just that's all, but tell me something I didn't know. But that's really a true fact. But they also count for 70% of all travel decisions and business decisions. Safety is rule number one with women around the world. And because of the signage and the way you present it with all the chain link and barbed wire fences, no wrought iron fences or anything decorative, you make it seem like Sault Ste. Marie, particularly in downtown, is not a safe place. And it's not true. We've walked downtown at night, and it's never been unsafe. But that is the perception a visitor would get. So, moving on. I want to talk about tourism for a minute. Tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. Anybody who's going to come here, site selector, an investor is coming here first, is what? A visitor. It's a place they'd want to live, their employees want to live, their clients would want to live. It's the front door. And by the way, it's the purest form of economic development because people come, they spend money, and they go home. And by the way, Americans spend twice as much money as Canadians in Canada. And it's not because of the exchange rate. They spend twice as much. And boy, are you set? You're more set for tourism than even Windsor is. And so that's a big deal. It's the fastest growing industry in Canada. And the first thing I do is, how do we get people to stop? If they're coming through on the Trans-Canada Highway, how do we get them to stop and spend some time in the Sault? Number 2 is, if you can get people to spend 2 hours here, spending doubles. And by the way, overnight visitors spend 4 times more than day visitors. That should always be your goal. We want to be the overnight destination. I'd rather have you see half as many visitors spending twice as much money, wouldn't you? So there you go. And then, by the way, top activity of visitors, not the reason they come, but the top activity once they arrive is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. Just go across the river. Go to Stratford. Go to Niagara-on-the-Lake. I mean, just think of all those places. That is the top activity of visitors in the world, and that is where 80% of all non-lodging travel spending takes place. You know what the biggest problem is in Sault Ste. Marie? You're not getting much of that 80%. That is what you got to fix. And by the way, you want to know when that spending takes place? 70% of all consumer retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. 70%. Why do you think Walmart's open 24 hours or till midnight or whatever they're open? 70%. Here's the deal. Are you open? You know what? Your service area is 125,000 people, and you roll up your sidewalks at 5 and 6 o'clock? We're at work during that time. And you wonder why we have to go. You wonder why all the big box retail is north of town. I think that's north. All the Best Buys and the other Walmart and all that stuff. They're open late and your downtown is closed. And so that's really big. And by the way, you got to promote your private businesses. The best attractions are built on private sector investment. So with that, I want to talk about monetizing your waterfront. I love the word monetizing because this is about tax base. And so one thing that's really cool is your waterfront is absolutely stunning. When we were in the other Sault, we looked across and went, oh my gosh, look over there. I mean, the pavilion and everything. When we were in yours looking over there, we went, ha, you guys got nothing on us. I mean, because it's just stunning. It's just absolutely incredible. You know, I would include a hashtag Sault Boardwalk. You know, I would put hashtags everywhere you can. People are photographing all this stuff and they don't know where to post it. And Instagram should be your primary social media site. But this waterfront, we were blown away, and thank you for giving us Saturday. It was like heaven. The weather just cleared up for us. I mean, but this is just literally world class. World class, your waterfront. So, I mean, talk about the International Bridge, which is in the background there. I love these with the wind goes down in there. I mean, just the boardwalk. I put St. Mary's River Boardwalk and the Hub Trail should be number one of everything. Number one. Here's the challenge, is that we can come over the border, we can walk your trails, we can walk the riverfront, we could go out to Whitefish, did I get that right? We could go out to the trails, we could go out to all of these places and not spend 10 cents because you don't monetize your waterfront. The only way you monetize is if when we're done, we walk over to the mall and eat at the food court. I mean, that's a real shame. So let me give you some ideas. We did go over there to the Whitefish Island Trail system. One thing that I would recommend, it's a really great map, but I really think you need to create a little brochure of your hub trail because we sat there and looked at this map, but once we're out on the trail, we come to a spot like this. I don't know. Should we go left? Should we go right? I think if you just put a little mark, you know, like the hub trail signs, just a little thing that shows a loop. But I think it would be really great if you had on some of these posts a little brochure this size that we could take that shows the trail system. I mean, this spot out here is, by the way, there were no bears that we could see. We were told, it's closed, you can't go out there, there's bears out there. And then somebody said, well, you know what, I think they chased the bears away. I'm going, you know what, we went out there, this is the bear's natural habitat. But we didn't see any, it was a gorgeous day. But there was, we heard about that. Here, this is a powerhouse, right? Right there, powerhouse generates electricity. I think you should do an interpretive sign that talks about how much power is generated here. And, that's enough to heat and cool or provide electricity to 400 homes, 1,000, I don't know what, but I think adding interpretive signs would be really great. It is just a stunning trail. And by the way, signs like this were great. I mean, it says no littering. It says when you enter Whitefish Island, leave your footprints and not your garbage. And even down there, if your dog poops, please scoop. At least they're asking nicely. We didn't have any problem with that. And it was just absolutely stunning. We just kept, it was like OMG constantly. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It was just constantly just stunning. But then we saw little trails like this, that bridge. We never figured out how to get over to that. We don't know whether we actually walked across it and walked a loop because there's no little markers to help us get around. We even thought that having a panel about the fishing, we did talk to the young man right there. He had just caught I can't remember what's running this time of year. He caught a fish, probably 6 pounds, and it was catch and release. But we thought it'd be cool to talk about when the fish run and everything. When the fish run, what you would catch here, whether you need a fishing license, is it just catch and release? Can you take something? I think adding some information out there would be really cool. But that Whitefish Island Trail is absolutely one of your best of. It's fantastic. So, we just wish we had a map. Over at the locks, we did go to the locks, and we saw visitor information. Unfortunately, they're just like open during office hours. We did read in the visitor guide about renting bikes, and I think, are these bikes for rent? Does anybody know? They are, but it's not real clear. And by the way, do you have to bring the backs by 5 because we're closed at 5? And that's too bad. Because you know what? It's dark at 9, 10 o'clock. I just wish there was some way we could rent bikes, maybe from a private sector over on the, I wish, you know what? You want to monetize the waterfront? I wish you had a business that did Segway tours. Can you imagine? I mean, they would go on the bike lanes, but they could go around to historical attractions. They could go up into downtown. You'd have people coming from, wouldn't it be cool if people from, down in Michigan and everywhere would be coming here instead of you going that way. But I thought, man, if you had a bike rental that was open from like 9 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night during the summer, that could rent bikes or it could rent any kind, canoes, I don't know what you got. But I think there's business opportunities. I would love to see 24 hours. And there was this tent being set up. Is this used for public events? Does anybody know? What's that? It was for wedding? Okay, we did meet some people at the hotel that were at a wedding Saturday. But we just thought if there's public events, you need to tell us, invite us back. This is beautiful. I just couldn't wait. I wanted to go up there to the Widow's Walk. But I think these are all offices, right? Not open to the public. It's such a beautiful building, but there's nothing that says it's open to the public. It's just a gorgeous sight. And by the way, it needs to be on your best of list. I mean, you have some incredible stuff. And then, of course, this is absolutely fantastic right here. This is fantastic. I think it's awesome. I just can't wait for them to buy that next building right over there. And by the way, we've seen buildings like that in York, Pennsylvania. They took one of those, they turned it into a foundry for all kinds of metal work, and they do all kinds of industrial art. We've seen buildings like that one next door turned into glass-blowing studios and everything, but this is really incredible. Just love it. I just think this is so cool. And so it's fantastic. The one thing, the Conservatory of Music, I have no idea. Is it open to the public, or is it just lessons? Do they have concerts? What takes place over there? Does anybody know? They do concerts? Really? So what I would do is somewhere in this town, you have lots of events, lots of things, but there's nothing anywhere that tells us when they are. The only thing we saw was a lavender festival this last weekend. But it turns out that's at one of your historic sites, and it's limited to like 30 people. And I went, well, that's hardly a festival. And it's been sold out for months. But if this does concerts, I would put a calendar of events there. Just say coming in 2018, if they're open to the public. We did eat here at the Mill Steakhouse and Wine Bar, which is fantastic. In the Embers, we thought were your two best restaurants. It was just really great. And of course, we had Taylor there help us out. I think well, you can't hardly see her in this picture. I should have used my projector. It's a little brighter than this one. But it's a fantastic, fantastic place. And of course, we added it to your best of list. You know what? This best of list is getting pretty cool. Now, one thing I would say, I think the signage is very cool. But even the boiler room, I have no idea what the boiler room is, even when I'm right smack in front of the sign where the telephone will end. Because in little tiny letters down at the bottom, it says wood oven pizza. We would have never known. Because what it says is the boiler room, a machine shop company. So these signs need to be a little more self-explanatory, but they are very cool. And there, once again, if it's open to the public, if there's events, if there's tours, anything, there's no information anywhere. And even back at the Delta Hotel, we asked our wait person, said, that's their restaurant right there, The View. And we said, why don't you out there, you've got all these flower things with nothing in them. I said, why don't you put a little picket fence out there and invite people off the boardwalk? And they said, yeah, we used to do that in the 70s. And I went, really? Really? I mean, I just think this is a missed opportunity on monetizing the waterfront. Even if you just put a little coffee juice stand out there and don't even open up to the restaurant. I mean, I know around the corner they've got the patio, but it was flat out gorgeous on Saturday, and we're in June. Does this ever open? And when? Is the only good time to come here July and August? Shouldn't be, because you know what? Boomers' favorite months, boomers, by the way, who count for most of the travel spending, you know what their favorite months are? April, May, September, and October. And we're here in June, and the waterfront still not seem to be open. And so it's a great spot. Now, we have an idea. You want to monetize the waterfront? I sat there and I think, you know what I would do? You know what I would do? If I owned that mall, I would build some waterfront. I would see all those orange, those would be buildings. Those would be restaurants, cafes, your Segway rentals, your bike rental shop, your fishing gear shop, a sweatshirt shop. Wouldn't it be cool if you had all kinds of little shops behind the boardwalk and the trail system, right where the road is, and then you route the road behind it? I mean, you're not monetizing the waterfront. We did this in Richland, Washington State. They have a similar thing. This was all like empty space. Said, what if you could do some cool little retail right along this, and you could even go up a second story or something and do some housing right on the waterfront, but wouldn't it be cool if you monetize your waterfront? I mean, I just went, I just kept going, you have this incredible waterfront that you're not taking advantage of. Even in Whistler Resort, even these are first floor retail, and then they step back. Now, that might be only single story down there. I mean, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be cool if you had these on your waterfront, little restaurants like this? That's in Whistler. Wouldn't it be cool if you had street trees like this, like they do in Whistler? Wouldn't it be cool if you had restaurants like that? So, a little side note. The days of the suburban mall are coming to a close across the U.S. and Canada. As a matter of fact, in the States, they call this the retail apocalypse. It's happening right now. All of these retail chains are in danger of closing their doors for good. As a matter of fact, 3,500 retail stores, chains in the U.S. will close this year. And I'm sure it's the same in Canada. Look at this. 1/3 of all U.S. and Canadian malls will close in the next 24 months. We did walk into your mall, and we saw lots of vacancies. Those probably won't ever come back. And I thought, okay, this is going to be one that's going to close in 24 months. However, one thing we did notice is that the food court is always packed because it's the only way people on the waterfront can monetize it. So I even thought, okay, we hope this mall succeeds. I hope it does. I really do. But I thought, you know what? What if, there you go, there's kind of the core. The movie theater is really the anchor tenant in the mall now. And there's Sears down at that end. That's probably going to go away. There's some ideas. You got some vacancies there. You got Walmart. And so I thought, what if you started to add, what if you started to do this? See all those green little dots? Those are street trees. What if you actually created a boulevard that ran between the mall and your waterfront? Would that be cool or what? And then the parking would be all the way around it. I just think you have an incredible asset that is just not being monetized or used to your benefit. And by the way, the highest and best use of a waterfront like this is not a parking lot. It's just like, oh my gosh, you're missing such a great opportunity. Even in areas like this is more over towards the pavilion. I would have things like, you know what, this. You just put them out there. These things are like $500 each. Okay, $8.95 Canadian. I'm kidding. They're like $500 a piece. They're the big chess sets. I mean, you put them out there for a month. If it's a rainy day, fine. You can go buy them on Amazon.com. You need to activate your waterfront. You know, you could go buy these Jenga sets. You know what Jengas is? You pull the blocks out. These are $79. They're 4 feet tall. Sorry, speaking feet and inches. Put a bunch of them out there. Let a bank or somebody sponsor them. I mean, I could just see on your waterfront, even downtown, doing little chess tables. This is in Asheville, North Carolina. I asked them, don't people vandalize the little chess pieces? And they say, whenever we're missing chess pieces, we eventually find them in birds' nests. Birds take them. And they say, we have 2 or 3 extra sets. And every day, a volunteer goes out there and makes sure we have all the pieces. I mean, they're doing stuff like this in New York City. Activate your waterfront. You know, we've even seen people put in bocce ball courts. These are portable. You can move them around. Activate your waterfront. If you can get food trucks down there, I would do it. Same with downtown. Go talk to a vendor about bringing in a climbing wall. And they charge $2 or $3 and kids to sit there and do the climbing. That's at Whistler Resort in the summer. Even portable little places like this. You need to activate your downtown and your waterfront. You've got the places, but they're just empty spaces. Even this is called Imagination Playground. I love Imagination Playground. They're like Lincoln Logs. They're big foam blocks. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you put these out? And kids come and they build all kinds of cool stuff with them. I mean, how awesome is that? And by the way, every day at the end of the day, you can box in these. This big box closes up and you put a padlock on it. I mean, how cool is that? Look at that. You spend like $6 or $7 grand and you've got the whole thing. By the way, does much happen at the pavilion? Yeah, but where's the calendar of events? I mean, is there anything happening? There is this sign that did tell us there's the walk for ALS. Last Saturday, there's the farmer's market. But why should I come back later on in June or July or August or September? Somewhere put a calendar of events if they're there. And always invite us back. We'll spend more money. And by the way, we did go to the farmer's market there at the pavilion. And then I thought, you know what else you should do? is get a couple of these. I would love to see you. Notice it has little casters on it. It's made out of PVC pipe. And these are, by the way, in Banff. And I thought, these are like $2,500 each. Wouldn't it be cool when you have sports tournaments, you take the visitor information to them? If you have people doing an ALS walk, put a little visitor information kiosk there. Or if you are having an event downtown, you just take this wherever the people are and help them spend more time and money here. And by the way, they bought a couple of them, and they have a couple volunteer, or in this case, they're interns working it. But they're just a really cool way to help people spend more money in Sault Ste. Marie. So a cool thing you could do. Now, there's all kinds of videos about those visitor information centers. We also did go to the Mill Market, and it was awesome. It was great. As a matter of fact, we spent quite a bit of money there, even though it's like, we can't take any of this back with us. But the fresh breads, and I mean, we bought some smoked trout. Oh my gosh, was it good? But by the way, what are these ever used? Yes, when? Okay, so in other words, you're a 60-day destination. That's it. See, to us, it's like, really? Why do you guys just do 60 days? But there's nothing there that says that these are ever even open in July and August, which would be an invitation to come back. They're what? They're not open this year at all? Okay. Well, I got a couple of things. First of all, I think the Mill Market is great. But I don't understand why you don't combine these two farmers markets. I know why. It's politics. I think it's a shame. Oh, we have the little market over there at the pavilion. Then we have our own market over here. You know what? The bigger the market is together, the further people come and the longer they will stay. I have no idea what the politics is, but to have two little farmers markets competing with each other, I think is a shame. I just think, why do you do that? And I'm sure there's some politics behind it somewhere. And maybe this is all super green and everything, and over there it might not necessarily be. Well, fine, just put a little note there. But I just think it's a great opportunity that's missed by combining them and making it more robust. I think there's another great place for brochure distribution I think it's a marina office there. This ice cream, when does this open? July and August? Is that what you're going to tell me? Okay. See what I mean? Saturday was gorgeous. And I just don't, to me, it just seems like somebody here is missing the boat totally. What? That is right next to the pavilion. Good, yeah, see what I mean? It's right next to on the west side of the pavilion. And it says ice cream, but it doesn't ever say that it's open or going to be. You know what you're doing? You're presenting to me right here in this room right now that we're going out of business as a city. That's the message I'm getting. Well, we don't know if the market, those are not even going to be open this year. We don't know if the ice cream shop is ever going to be open. And by the way, I haven't even gotten to downtown yet. So I'm just going, by the way, you have there's a girl, I think she was doing probably some training with the other gal. I think it's awesome that you have the exercise equipment. I would love to see you do what Canmore, Alberta does. This is what they do. And by the way, in the middle of the winter in Canmore, they're out there wearing their ski gear working on this equipment. So I think I think what you have back there, if I go back to that, is awesome. I'd love to see you step it up even more and creating stuff like this, outdoor fitness circuit in Canmore. Look at this, keeping our community healthy. I think you could even go up another level with it. And then the boat. When is this open? It was open on Saturday? See, it says hours, 11 to whatever, but it doesn't say when or what. I don't know. it's just kind of confusing. So we missed it on Saturday. I guess we got there too early. These are really great. Here's what I'd like to get, that trail map, because we kept going and looking at the map, the hub trail, where does it go, and all of that, but we wish we could have had one to take with us. Because when you get right here, we thought this was the end. Because there's nothing to say that. If you look over there, it does continue. Because we go from pavers to just concrete and very narrow. So we thought this was the end. And it does continue. If you just put a little sign there that says, keep going, we're not done yet, because some of the best trails are over there. But we didn't know. And so, once again, beautiful. Love the pavilion of flags. We did go to the art center, or the gallery, and it was great. Art in bloom, reflections, highlights. It was open. The people there were very nice. And of course, we had to add it to our list. We also did go over to the Bush Plane Museum, which we thought was absolutely incredibly great. It was fantastic. You know, and I thought, well, is it me because I like to fly? And Jane even said, no, she really liked it too. What's really cool, you walk right in, look at all the visitor information right there. Loved it. Loved it. We went in there and saw the 3D movie about firefighting. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it, where you sit, shakes, there's speakers around you, lights around you. It's really a good immersive experience. It was really cool. But this is a fantastic, fantastic museum. Just great. People there were great. And so, of course, we had to add it to your best. Look at this best of list. It's amazing. So we also did use in the visitor guide, the selfie guide, grab a selfie stick. We never did figure out where you could hand feed the birds. But you know, there's another opportunity of where some vendor somewhere could be selling bird seed. They say don't feed them bread, but I thought, man, if we could do that. It also talked about renting bikes, but it didn't tell us where to rent the bikes. But I thought it was cool, what to rush, eat out or bug out. I mean, it was really a nice little guide. So, for the boardwalk, the Ermitinger, is it Ermitinger or Ermitinger? I think it's Tinger, was really great, although I would simplify the sign. Remember, 4 seconds. So if it just said, Ermitinger Clerk, you know, National Historic Site and gift shop with an arrow would be all. You don't need to say open year-round twice, and just make it simple. All your signs should be simple. And I love the fact that buses these days are getting so small. You know, luckily they probably felt safe because they didn't say buses only, or we will tow you, ticket you, they're prohibited, and it's bylaw number 4001-231. So they probably felt, okay, it's safe to be there. Once again, great site. And by the way, being from America, I was asked to speak in Windsor in 2012 because they wanted an American to come up over there and tell them how and explain how Canada whipped our butts, you know, at the War of 1812. But you know what's funny is if you go to American places, it's always one-sided American. If you go to Canadian places, it's really one-sided Canadian. This explanation of the War of 1812 was the most unbiased I've ever seen. And I don't know, it's because you have a lot of Americans coming over the border, but it was really a good explanation of the war. At least the Canadian portion. You know, in the States, part of it took place way down in New Orleans. But I thought it was really good. It was well done, well explained, and made total sense. The house is fantastic. Here's where we heard about the Lavender Festival. That was Saturday, but it had been sold out for months. And by the way, you know, had we not gone out, you know, I think that I have no idea what the fate of this is or where it's at. But I think if a hospital picks up and leaves and moves to another location, they have the fiduciary responsibility to do something with this. But I see pigeons flying in and out. I see broken windows everywhere. I just go, what a shame. What a shame. You know, I don't know if it's even can be saved. There's this building off slightly north of it. And I just go, wow, what an amazing waterfront opportunity. I don't know if it's been bought. I don't know. I just saw, wow, what a shame. And this is kind of your eastern gateway into downtown. So, let's talk about downtown. Number one, get rid of the two-way streets now. No more studies. Stop it with all the studies and plans. Just do it. I'll tell you what, one-way streets were designed in the 70s. They were designed in the 70s that, by gosh, everything's on Queen Street. We need to get people on Albert Street and on Bay Street, so we're going to create one way this way, one way this way. That didn't work in the 70s. It doesn't work today. Everywhere we went here, we were like, are we going the right way? Is this going to be one way? Are we? And it's a frustrating experience. And by the way, if you want visitors coming to Queen Street, do they know they have to go all the way down Bay or another street and then turn around and come back to enjoy Queen Street? They're not going to do it. And so just do it. And by the way, you don't have angle-in parking, so it's not going to be that horribly expensive to do. Yes, you have to re-sign things. You have to stripe the streets. There are some things you have to do. Just do it. Just get it done. Go back to the way it used to be when you were a thriving downtown. So, re-energizing. Downtown should be priority number one. Here it is. The heart and soul of any community besides its people is its downtown. Period. And by the way, if you don't hang out in your downtown, neither will visitors. We go where you go. So until you activate downtown, we're steering clear. And by the way, downtowns are back and more important than ever before. But here's the future of downtowns. Downtowns are where we go after work and on weekends. The peak hours for downtown are 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're never going to have shopping downtown again. You're never going to outdo Amazon. Those days are over. This is the future of downtowns. It's where you go after work on weekend, and yet you roll up your sidewalks. And you wonder why some of your best restaurants are way up out of town, up on 17. You know, this is the future of downtown, sidewalk cafes, these kinds of things. And so as a city, in economic development, tourism, and community development, there's absolutely, positively nothing that's more important than your downtown, period. But here's the deal. It's what's in the buildings that makes you a draw. You could spend all day long, every day, making downtown stunningly beautiful, and it could still be dead as a doornail. Think of your downtown. Think of Queen Street as Carnegie Hall or a beautiful theater somewhere. Carnegie Hall, beautiful frescoes, chandeliers, velvet-covered seats, just amazing. But would you even go to Carnegie Hall if there's nothing happening on the stage? It's what's in the buildings. So there's a set of videos. I know a lot of you are already watching these. And by the way, 250 days a year, that's going to come up.